director, and he's now working for Senator Brittany Timberlake over in the third court.
And a product of Columbia High School and Rutgers.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling kind of inadequate right now. Anyway, I'd like to invite our esteemed panel to join us at the table. And I'm so thrilled how easy it was to assemble a panel of overachieving women in our government. I'm old enough to remember how there were so many times when there were no women in the room at all, and now we're in a whole new way of living, and it's really wonderful. And our panel will discuss how they got here, the barriers they had to overcome, and the fulfillment they get from serving our public.
Well, I think you already heard my story, so I can pass it along to Garnet.
Wow, I'm a little bit emotional. Every time I hear all the accomplishments that Mila does, it's like hearing it for the first time, because you feel it in your heart, what it took to do what she did and what she continues to do. And I'm so privileged to have served with her as her constituent outreach for the last 16 years. I watched, I learned, and I listened. And that's how I'm sitting in this seat today. I didn't realize that our story was so similar, because let me tell you how I'm sitting in this seat. It was just the middle of the day. I get a phone call. It's Mila. I answer the phone, and Mila says, I have a question for you. And I said, what? She said, I think I'm going to retire, and I'd like for you to step up. And I said, and you told me not to tell anybody, but I've told everybody. I said, isn't there something else I could do? Because I was happy with my leadership. And that's the one thing I want to tell all the women out here in the seats, and you probably already know. There's a place for all of us. You don't have to have just that one person. I was happy with my leadership. I was happy with being an influencer. I was happy with running around, checking on Mary and doing some things that Mila needed some help with. When they redistricted Mila, she called me. I'm in Harding, New Jersey, and if anybody knows how to get there, you can't get there from here. And she says, before Waze. And so she says, I'm going to be an hour late. You got to hold the audience. Now imagine that. All of you are here. They're coming to see Mila, not me, and I had to hold the audience. But I did whatever it is that she asked me to do, because I believed in her leadership and her guidance and her direction. So it is a great privilege to serve in the Assembly and to retain Mary in her office, because we all know that that was the team that I was able to take the step comfortably and say, yes, that I'll do it. I promise to you that I will follow what Mila has set out before us in terms of education. I'm not on that committee, but I'm a real good influencer, so I feel that I can sometimes do the work that the other person that has to take the vote might not be able to do. So I do make that pledge to you that I will continue to serve in Mila's footsteps with her guidance, and I really appreciate the opportunity to do this. So I have a new saying for the Assembly. There's 27 of us that are new. They don't call us the freshman 15, they call us the freshman 27. Mostly women coming into the Assembly. Yeah. So I pledge to you that this is our saying. We're coming to the Assembly, not to match the energy, but to change the atmosphere. So stay tuned, get your support behind us, and we will continue to make strides in making women in government better decisions than we have in the past. Thank you very much.
Just a little repartee over here about who goes next, but I just wanted to make this. Oh,
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Try to remember that. I just wanted to make this comment. When Mila was speaking about when she agreed to be in the Assembly, I remembered a funny story. Dick Cody, Governor Cody had called and said, you know, I was thinking of nominating Mila to be in the Assembly. And I thought, oh God, we're gonna lose her in the Board of Education. I really got upset. And then my second thought, less selfish than the first one, was, oh great, she'll be great. And the state of New Jersey will have her, and that is true. And she did wonders. I always kind of thought of her as a very quiet superstar. You never came in and ran over people. You were very polite about it. I think very frankly, what you were was a steel hand and a velvet glove. You were persistent without being impolite, unlike some of us. But it was always a pleasure to watch you in action and see what you did for public education.
Well, you inspired me.
Oh, come on. I don't know, I just...
Yeah.
Well, that's a conversation stopper. Thank you. But I'm glad that Garnet is there, carrying it on for all of us, but we have been very well served by Mila Jasey, and we have every reason to be proud and hopeful and excited about Garnet, so thank you both very much. Okay.
Go.
Well, Mila and I met decades ago at League of Women Voters. I was an at-home mom for 15 years, and which is, was a struggle in and of itself to be able to pay the bills, but wanted to be home with my kids. But I also needed adult conversation, which was the main reason I joined the League of Women Voters.
That was the reason we all initially.
It's so true. It's so true. But so I've watched you go and take on these challenges all these years. And the Board of Ed, if there's any Board of Ed members in here, yeah, I'd rather have root canal than be on the Board of Ed. So it's a lot more work. Oh yeah, or as Ellen said, triplets by natural childbirth. That's it. Because it's a tough job. You're dealing with parents and about their most, precious beings that they're in their lives. So it's really hard, and you did it so great. I too was like, you really want to go to the state level? I don't know if you want to do that, but and you did it in much more of a old boy network time than it is now, and that's not easy for those women in the room who've likely had to deal with that, as I have, as I'm sure all of us have. It's not easy, and you have assumptions made of you, and if you're as nice and kind as Mila is, that's all the more reason people think they can take advantage or not listen to you.
That's where my 9 brothers come.
That's right. I know. We all had like the brothers beating us up. Right. Yep. I just want to say thank you for your leadership and for your friendship and your guidance in my political career on this local level. But it's sometimes just hanging in there is the best you can do and really important to do. And staying, whether people agree with you or not on a position, as long as you know in your heart, that's the kind of thing that's never kept me up at night. I know that what I'm thinking about and how I make my decisions is true to my heart, and I feel like Mila's done that too for her entire career. So I want to add to the list of thank yous. So thank you.
Now what?
Let me ask a question.
Okay, this one's not on.
So I'd like to ask each of you what your biggest challenge has been as a woman in your career.
I think I just did.
That's a hard one. There have been many challenges. I think trusting myself to do the job, particularly when I first started in the assembly. The Board of Ed was very difficult, but for different reasons. And because it was local and you're dealing with people's children. And I did not run for the Board of Ed until my youngest was a senior at Columbia High School, because I never wanted my kids to feel like, I was favoring them in any way, and I didn't want other people to feel that way. I think, self-confidence, for my generation at least, I'm in my 70s, so, there weren't a lot of role models out there. And I think I was blessed with having people around me who said, you can do this. In particular, my husband. He was my biggest cheerleader and never doubted, at least not to my knowledge, my ability to do things. And also as a wife and a mother, as a woman, I can't tell you how many dinners I left with the kids and my husband at the table and me running off to meetings. And so in that way, the legislature was a little bit easier because I had Mary and I had Elijah. You have support. You're a little more distanced. And there are, but I would say to everyone, especially to the young women in the room, and I see my daughter and my granddaughter sitting there, don't doubt yourself. Don't assume that you can't do something, because Julia, you can do anything you want to do. Yes. Right. You've got lots of support.
I think I had a little bit of an advantage because my experience as a salesperson for 30 years before I came, I was still supporting the Democratic Party at that time. But I was the only black woman on a 13-group white Republican sales team. They challenged me every day, but they're my brothers. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying. We all agreed that they needed to be around a person like me, and so did I, because we constantly learned from each other. And they still support me, but they used to always tell me, you're gonna be something one day. And dealing as a salesperson, you were used to rejection. I was used to no. I was used to the one that says no brings you closer to the one that's gonna say yes. I have all these different sayings, but one of the things that the owner of the company said to me one day, and some people took it wrong. I was trying to close a very big deal. It was $1 million deal. He brought me in the office. We were going over everything. He says, are you going to close this deal? And I said, I did the best that I can. And he said, but was it good enough? And instead of being upset about that, I said, oh, shucks. And I went back to the drawing board. So I think it's something that's innate inside me to say, you haven't seen anything yet. I've got the leadership, I've got the backup, I've got the community, and I'm going to try to do something. So win or fail, I'm going to do my best, and it will be good enough.
It's an interesting topic when you talk about women going into politics, because for a very long period of time, myself included, you're working on other people's campaigns. And to the point where we ran great Democratic candidates. They went on to become federal judges and Superior Court judges, but they couldn't get elected here in Maplewood. And we finally ran out of candidates. And everybody looked around and said, Ellen, you're it. And I said, well, actually, I'd rather run the campaign. I'm not too interested in, no, you'll be fine. And you'll probably lose. And I won. And I couldn't talk for about 24 hours because much as I loved politics, and I still do, I have to admit, governance wasn't really on my map. And it took a little while. I got myself a little acclimated to it. And I did what they told me to do. I took the courses, the extension courses at Rutgers on governance and state affairs and what you had to do, and I loved it. I really thought to myself, I really want to go to grad school. I don't want to work. But I did do it. It was a little difficult in the beginning. There were a lot of personality conflicts, not fierce. I tried to be polite because, you know, I'm sure my mother, if she were alive, would have been hitting me upside the back of my head. But I did learn a lot. And when you're in local politics, it is largely different from statewide, from county. We did a little bit of county too. You live with the people and you're trying to make rules for and levy taxes and things like that. And I learned how to say no politely. I learned a lot from my colleagues, even though we weren't the same political party, but in fact, we had the same objective. And Maplewood had always enjoyed rather good governance long before I got on board. And so it was very valuable. I can't say my goals were lofty. I'm almost embarrassed to say my issue when I was running for the township committee was guest passes at the pool.
Yeah.
It was important. I really thought, and people really were really hard about it, that they thought I wanted to let other people into the pool. Bob Grassmere, who was the longstanding mayor here, he said to me, that's almost as bad as licensing cats. He said, I would never do that again either. He said they had hundreds of people show up. But you grow into a position like that, and you become very aware, at least I did, that even though I thought I knew a lot about Maplewood, I really didn't. I didn't know a lot of the stories and a lot of the people. And I don't think I'm more empathetic than others, but I do think that women listen with a different ear. And that was my takeaway from it. And I really enjoyed it, and I do love community service. I'm still doing Dickens Village if anybody would like to volunteer.
Nice plug. It's so interesting how much goes through your mind when you're listening to other people answer the same question you have to answer. And now I forgot what I was going to say, pretty much. But with women, I had a conversation with someone a couple years ago who mentioned that more younger women, need to be running for township committee. And as a woman hearing this, I thought, well, yeah, that'd be nice, but what are we talking about when it's young, right? Is it 30? Is it 40? Is it 50? Like, we have a lot to do during those early years. Much of it childbirth, child-related. Women are mostly in heterosexual households. They're the CEO of the household. I think everybody knows that. Go ahead, women, you can nod, you know. I remember like an instance when I had my first baby, and I was going out of the house, and I was explaining to my then husband what he needed to do as if he was a babysitter. And he's the father, and I'm like, why am I having to explain all this as if he's the babysitter? So we definitely do run the household. So when we consider running for office, all these responsibilities go through our heads, like, well, how am I going to do that if I have to be home for this kid or that kid, or like Mila just said, like, you waited until your kid was older to run for the Board of Ed because you didn't want to have some sort of influence or reflection on you and what you were doing. And it's so true. So while I want to tell young women to run, I also know that you're working full-time, you're running your household, your kids, you have all the other responsibilities that you have, and it's hard. It's hard to do. It just is. Even if their kids are older, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
The one thought that came to me while you were talking is, what can younger women do? Vote, number one. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure that everyone you know is registered to vote. Take your kids with you to the polling place so that they understand that this is a responsibility that can't be, disregarded. And then there are other things you can do. I mean, you join the local party. It doesn't mean you have to go to all the meetings. It might mean just be a district leader. How many people in this room know what a district leader is? Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Be a district leader. It's a great way to get to know your neighbors. Join the League of Women. I am a lifelong member of the League of Women Voters, and in fact, it was the League that really helped me with my sanity when I was home with little ones, because we had meetings during the day and everybody brought their kids. That was another era, but still, look for people who are intelligent, who care about their community, and there's always something you can do. It doesn't have to be a big thing. I never started out with the idea that I'm going to end up in the legislature. I was more concerned about what was happening on my block, what was happening in my kids' schools, and in the community at large. So there's lots you can do. Don't think that you can't do something because you have a job or you're home by yourself or whatever it is. There's something you can do. And, I always say to people, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
I think we need another question.
If you have any questions, please speak up.
Do I grab the portable one?
Use the portable one for the questions.
Right.
Do you have any particular advice for this year, 2024, since there's so much on the line locally, statewide, and of course nationally? Having just retired, I feel like I do now have more time, and I want to do something or several things, and I only have one idea so far, so I'm open to others.
Walk door to door. Go get the vote out. Get the vote out.
Yeah.
And get the vote out outside of New Jersey, since we're relatively blue.
I'm about to ask my 3 friends in Pennsylvania.
There you go. Yep. You gotta go to Pennsylvania.
Any others?
I was just going to say, a lot of people locally do get involved in various campaigns. They probably are setting up right now, but I think you'll see more PR about them, and they're always looking for hands and feet, people who will work and go to different towns. There's an organization of it and a structure. They'd be glad to have you.
Other questions?
This question is directed to Ellen, because Ellen, I think when I moved to Maplewood and you were mayor, the township committee was in transition from that sort of. What happened to Maplewood to sort of shift it? Was it the Republicans becoming Democrats? Was it the Republicans leaving? What has caused the change in the composition of Maplewood? I think in the 2020 election, 94% of us voted for Joe Biden. So
10 to 1. One person's opinion. I always felt that the Democrats were more aware of the fact that Maplewood was changing demographically, age-wise. People were moving here from New York. They were a different electorate than they were in 1985 and in 1990. And we had a lot of young people involved in the Democratic Party, and we were able to recognize that and take advantage. They weren't particularly Democrats, in my opinion, or Republicans. They were basically independents. And at that time, if you added the registered Democrats and the registered Republicans together, the independents were a far larger number. And so we did little surveys, and we were able to tailor what they said with what we felt we could support. And I think that had a lot to do with it. And a lot of people, the gay and lesbian community, moved here and were comfortable. And that's what you want. You want people who are comfortable where they're paying taxes. That's the name of the game. They're going to live here, and they have to really want to live here. That was always my opinion.
You guys stand up. They don't know you're asking.
Anyone else have a question? I'd like to ask Garnet how in your new job you will assess your priorities and decide what among the many things that need to be done, what you'll do.
Well,
one thing, I'm also the deputy clerk for Essex County, so let me start there. I've been the deputy clerk to Chris Durkin for 6 years. So I've been dealing with some of the same issues, constituents having problems, having issues, connecting them, getting them help, helping with education, and things of that nature. I'm lucky enough that the county supports me in this position where I'm in Trenton on Mondays and Thursdays, and I'm at the deputy clerk the rest of the week. I also marry people for a living. So I think that it is a great advantage, number one, and if you hear my optimism, or if you hear the love in my heart, it's because I spend my days when I'm not dealing with problems, was looking into the eyes of people who are just getting married with hope. I marry people who are getting married for the second time or later in life. So, you know, I'm going with the right frame of mind. And then when I get to the assembly with the 27 women that are dynamic, I'm here to tell you, I'm in awe of not only people like Mila, but when you meet the 27 women that are coming into this assembly, you got hope. They're strong, you know, they're speaking up, they're from different communities. I'm the only one that has a suburban and urban constituency. Now that's a little different, and sometimes in suburbia, we think that we want to tell the people in the urban areas, oh, they want to move to the suburbs. Well, guess what? They really don't. They want the same goods and services that we have. They have been in their houses for 4 generations, raised their family in the urban environment. So I am getting support or learning constantly the whole time. So I don't have all the answers. I'm here to tell you. But at this part, I'm listening. Had a lot of support with Mila, with redistricting, so I will find the answers. But I'm asking from you. I look at everybody, you're my experts, I'm your voice. Tell me what it is that I need to do. I will not make the right decision all the time, at least I hope I will most of the time. What I mean, you might not agree with me, but there is a path to where we're trying to get to. So I'm looking for your help. Thank you.
Nancy.
I need water, everybody. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I have water.
The lady just walked out, needs one. I have one.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your goals for your first year as mayor?
Oh, jeez. Well, I've been on the township committee for 8 years now, and you know, I guess I just still have the same goals. Only I have maybe a louder voice or a stronger voice as mayor, and I'm planning on tapping into that when I reach out to the state. Or just text you and say, you need to help me get this done. But yeah, no, I mean, I've been sort of the environmental voice. Apparently, I didn't set out to do that, just like I didn't set out to run for office. I just kind of, you know, you go through your lives taking care of stuff, and then all of a sudden somebody asks you. It's always funny, like I think all of us were asked, right, or told, yes. According to Ellen, you know, so yeah, because we're just busy as women. So I think, you know, I just want to continue the work that this awesome committee of people, including Dean Daffis back there, and I think Vic was here. You know, I'm not gonna lie, we all work pretty hard, and we just kind of we have goals, and our goals are all sort of in line, and each of us kind of takes a different topic almost and leads that, and I think that's why, as a committee of form of government, I think that works really well here. So we take the lead on different things, and we help each other on those, and we argue about it, or we, you know, pick apart an ordinance to try to figure it out. So I want to just continue doing that and functioning as a good committee. Yeah.
My name is Miriam.
and I've been in Maplewood since April 1990. And I'd like to commend you all on this leadership, because leadership is not that easy. It needs that the fire burning somewhere, and do the multitasking and whatever, you know. Don't we say that if you want something done, give it to a busy person?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So actually, Mila, thank you so much. Now it would be difficult which box when I vote. You know, usually your name captured my eye. So I connected with you when you mentioned public health. So only this morning I heard how much work you did on supporting and advocating for breastfeeding.
Yes.
So, and to be in leadership, there's that human touch. And that's actually where I connected with you. And another thing, another comment, if I may, is Ellen. We moved to Maplewood April 1990, and I was working on my first master's at Seton Hall. And I don't know what happened, miracles. When I graduated, I received a congratulation card from Ellen. That means so much. You were down to earth, know the community, and that's what leadership is all about. So I would like to commend you all, and looking for the opportunity to know the other ones as much as I can. So thank you all. Proud of you.
Okay, I'm going to put my family on the spot because there are a lot of them here, and I really, really appreciate the fact that you made the time to come. Because, you know, my husband Neil, stand up. He managed to retire 3 times while I was surfing. My son Neil Jr., stand up. My daughter, Rena. My granddaughter, Julia. And my son, Kyle. I see you back there, Kyle. And I'm going to take one more moment to say that Kyle is running for Congress. And he is a millennial. He's one of these young people that we say needs to get involved. He's getting involved. He's jumping in. And we need to make sure that all of our kids and their kids and our neighbors pay attention, get involved, or you may wake up one day and realize that things aren't the way you want them to be. I think I also saw my brother Eric and my brother Chris. And trust me, if she could be here, my mother would be here. But, you know, that's what family does. We support each other and we show up for each other. And I think that's where it all starts. And because I've had that support all these years, because people didn't complain when I left dinner on the table or on the stove and said, I gotta go to a meeting, it was okay with them. You know, they might have grumbled a little bit, but I think I always felt supported and appreciated, and I want to take this public moment to thank all of you publicly. Please tell your spouses I said that because they're not here, but you know, they have been just as supportive of me. And as I mentioned in my remarks, none of my grandchildren were born until after I was in the legislature. So it's been a juggling act for a long time, but now I'm available.